What is going on, guys? What's poppin'? So today we're going to do the Week 11 game grades for the Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. It's a super short week, so tomorrow this video is going to come out. It'll be Tuesday morning, and you'll have the game grades. And then Wednesday, the preview is going to come up for the Turkey Day, Thanksgiving Day game on Thursday. So that'll be exciting to get through a quick week. And then I think we have another Thursday night football a week later. So that'll work out okay anyways. But anyways, let's go and jump into this. And starting with the quarterback position, Andy Dalton, guys, wasn't great. We saw that, right? So he definitely made some mistakes, sometimes at missed opportune times. Multiple bad throws. There was only one interception, I believe, but there could have been 3 or 4 easily. I think we could all agree with that. On the one interception, it looked like he kind of stared down the linebacker, still threw it to him. It was still a tough play for Eric Kendricks, but it was just not a smart throw. Sometimes it looks like at the last second he doesn't want to throw the ball, and he just does it anyway. Anyways, on the touchdown to CD Lamb, an incredible catch, but the throw wasn't that great. So he probably had like 5 or 6 pretty bad throws, and I consider that one of them, and it happened to result in a touchdown. So overall, I mean, I could say he did a decent job at protecting the football because he only turned over the ball, once? But at the same time, it could have been a lot more than that. So I don't know if I want to give him too much credit there. He did have 2 or 3 touchdowns. And he did make some nice throws as well. So it wasn't a complete failure or anything like that by any means. As a matter of fact, he got the job done. We got the win. So if I'm rating Dalton, I'd say a C, and maybe even a C plus for getting the win and doing an okay job of protecting the ball. At the same time, we know that Garrett Gilbert the week before was better, and I think I gave Gilbert a B and a loss. So I would move forward with Gilbert, but that's not what we're going to do. So we're going to go and give Dalton the C+, and we're going to move to the next position, which is running back. And finally got a big day from both of the running backs. It's exciting to say, and that's one of the big reasons why we won. Zeke finally had his 100-yard day, but Pollard contributed with a really big, I think it was like a 40-something yard touchdown run as well. So I think Zeke didn't have a touchdown on the ground, but I think he had like 1 receiving touchdown. I think it was like 1 of 3 for Dalton. So I would give Zeke an A, absolutely. And considering Tony Pollard contributed as much as he did, I would give the group as a total an A+. And that's probably the best game Zeke's played this year. Now, you could say he was pretty good against the Rams week 1, and he was okay against the Giants whatever week we played them. But at the end of the day, this was his first 100-yard game of the season. He definitely isn't washed up. I don't really get that when I'm watching him play. I guess you could look at the stats and say he might be a little washed up, but if you look at the tape, it doesn't really show that. Now, onto the wide receiver position, and we got a mixed bag, but overall it was pretty good. I remember Noah Brown having a catch or 2. That was nice. Cedric Wilson, I think, was involved in the play. Maybe he had a drop. Michael Gallup had a couple of drops. He was very disappointing for me. He didn't grade out good at all. But at the same time, CD Lamb was very efficient. He only had 5 receptions on like 6 or 7 targets, but he had a really big game, and he had that incredible touchdown catch that I've talked about. Now, as far as Amari Cooper goes, I think Cooper probably had the most productive day as far as the receiver group goes. I don't think it was as efficient as CD Lamb, but overall, I think they were both good, and I would give the receiver group as a whole B+, A-. I mean, they were solid. They got the job done. There was nothing spectacular performance-wise, although I will say Amari Cooper was very solid, very consistent, outside of, a couple big CD Lamb catches. And CD Lamb was making some plays in special teams as well. So he was just active all over the field. No, the tight end position, definitely going to give them an A. No, they weren't heavily involved in the offense, and they never are, but they're always a part of the offense. Now, as far as blocking goes, Dalton Schultz did a great job, and we know Blake Bell's a decent blocker as well. But Dalton Schultz also had the game-winning touchdown. Blake Bell had like a 13-yard catch. And it's not about the amount of opportunities these guys are receiving. It's about what they're doing with the opportunities that they do get, right? And it says something for a role player in the NFL, which I consider both of those guys. Maybe Schultz upside is a little higher. But it's something to be said when you have limited opportunities that you can still perform. That's what makes players, productive and special. So these guys aren't going to get 10, 15 looks a game. But if they get 3 or 4 and they make the most of them, then that's really all we can ask. And I think they definitely did. So A for the tight end group. Offensive line group, I don't know how I'm going to grade this because it's kind of all over the place. I remember our left tackle, Cam Irving, being pretty bad. Matter of fact, it might have been the worst on the offensive line, and I'm thinking he definitely was. Connor Williams graded out okay. I think I looked on PFF and he was somewhere in the 70s. But I will say there were a couple times where he annoyingly got pushed back. And I'm remembering, I don't even think that the stat sheet showed that he gave up a sack. But there was a play where Dalton was kind of moving out of the pocket to the left. And he was kind of trying to step up. And Connor Williams just got pushed out of the way and gave up the sack there. Maybe it was a coverage sack. But either way, he got pushed out of the way, right? So I see that week in, week out of Connor Williams. At the same time, he did help solidify that run game, and he wasn't horrible. So I'll give him that. Joe Looney, pretty much around the same. He was okay. He played a decent game, but he was one of the worst offensive linemen. I mean, they all played at their talent level. I'll say that. Joe Looney is, I'd say, the second worst. I'd say Cameron Irving right now is our worst offensive lineman. Looney's right there with him. Connor Williams is slightly better. I mean, you could tell he has a little more pedigree. But then right guard, Connor McGovern was a pleasant surprise. And I say surprise. We haven't really seen much of anything from him as far as playing time goes. But I think there was one other game where Zach Martin played some right tackle. And in that game, Connor McGovern wasn't great. But in this game, I noticed Connor McGovern played really well. Did a great job of protecting Andy Dalton. And keep in mind, guys, I mean, the Minnesota Vikings don't have all-world pass rushers anymore. But still, I mean, you can only work with what you have to work with, right? And I thought McGovern did a great job at that. It was also very heavily involved in the run game and in Zeke getting his 100 yards. And overall, I think we had 160, 170 yards on the ground, so that was nice. Zach Martin at right tackle was really good. I would give him a B. Maybe he gets an A at right guard, but I'm okay with him playing right tackle and being slightly less effective, but still being probably the best player on the team, as long as we don't have to try Terrence Steele out there, because it's a different game if Steele's out there. Maybe we don't win. So I think that move definitely worked out in our favor, even though the Jones family kind of tried to talk that down like it wasn't a realistic thing. Clearly it was. Clearly y'all chose to do that. And overall, I'd actually grade the offensive line as a whole probably like a B minus B, because they did a pretty solid job of just giving Andy Dalton time, giving us a chance, right? And just not letting Zeke get killed behind the line of scrimmage. And you can see when that happens, he's successful. I mean, he has a great game. So I'm pretty high on the offensive line. Now, moving on to the defensive line, defensive tackle. I'm going to go, C plus, because it was weird. Neville Gallimore, who we've been seeing a little bit of, I thought he kind of got pushed around. He wasn't great. Justin Hamilton, again, not really seeing much from him. Antoine Woods, I would have to go back and look at some film and maybe at least go look at his grade, because I don't know how he played, but I do remember seeing him out there a lot. So obviously he did okay. I'm going to tell you one thing with the defensive line, especially defensive tackle, the grades aren't going to look great because Dalvin Cook had 115 yards, but this is a game where we all, as Cowboys fans, probably expected Dalvin Cook to have 200-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, that sort of thing. So we made Dalvin Cook earn all his yards. We made him work for it. So I'm not going to grade defensive tackle super low because of that. As a matter of fact, C plus may be a little harsh, because one guy who really stood out was Tyron Crawford, guy we talk about a lot, usually have negative things to say. I thought he was really good. He was getting pressure. He was decent against the run, which he's normally not. But I thought Crawford played a good game. Defensive end, I'd give at least a B. DeMarcus Lawrence was really solid. Randy Gregory really stood out. My only concern is Aldon Smith, who wasn't good against the run, and he wasn't getting a ton of pressure either. So there is some concern there, especially if we plan on paying Aldon Smith long term, which at his age, I don't know why we're thinking that, because Randy Gregory's younger, and he's showing you he can go out there and not only play the run, but he can get some pressure. So I'm really liking the way the defensive line is starting to look with Gregory back out there on the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence and taking snaps away from Everson Griffin, who's obviously no longer on the team. Now, moving on to the linebacker position, and again, it was a case of mixed goods, mixed bag. Jalen Smith was horrible. He was arguably the worst defender on the team. At the same, he was missing tackles, doesn't know how to cover, doesn't really know where to be. You could tell that's him more than anyone else on defense. Now, the defensive backs were bad as well, so let's not take too much away from Jalen Smith. He wasn't the worst, but he was right there with him. Now, at the same time, Sean Lee was okay. He didn't play many snaps, so it's kind of hard for me to grade him. But Leighton Vander Esch, been a little worried about him. Yesterday, he was great. So that was big to see. And he was just kind of playing old school tough football, like digging in his teeth and making the tough plays, and he was hitting hard, and he was lowering his shoulder, and he was really good, and he was good in coverage as well. But I mean, he's one of the big reasons why Dalvin Cook didn't go off yesterday. So give him some credit. The group as a whole, I don't know, C+, B-, but I mean, I'd probably give Vander Esch a B+ or an A- for his performance overall. Now, defensive backs, the only thing that's going to save them from being an F is the final drive of the game. They were excellent. They were an A++++, that final drive, right? Maybe on 1st and 10 before it became 2nd and 6. Maybe they don't give up 4 yards and let them get out of bounds there. But that's being nitpicky. They were almost perfect on the final drive. Again, you could be nitpicky and say, what's his name, should have had the interception on the final play of the game. But he's better off dropping it. So never mind with that even. Jordan Lewis, Anthony Brown, Chidobe Awuzie, they weren't good in coverage. We'll just say that. Leave it at that. Give them a D or D-. Little worried about Awuzie, or I should say I'm a little less worried about Awuzie because he's just coming back from injury. So hopefully, we saw Leighton Vander Esch, his first game back, he didn't look great. So it took him a little while to come into his own. Hopefully it will with Awuzie too, because we really missed Trayvon Diggs yesterday. And then Rashard Robinson, which I thought it was Reggie Robinson, but he didn't play, our rookie out of Tulsa. But Rashard Robinson sucks. I don't even know who he is. He was not, didn't look like he had much business out there. I understand we need the depth. Almost rather see C.J. Goodwin out there. The safety position, we're going to give at least like a B+. There was a time when Donovan Wilson got burned really bad, and it was the defensive back's fault as well, but it was also Donovan Wilson's fault because he got burned deep. On the left side, maybe it was Thielen, maybe it was Jefferson, I really don't know. But, or I should say I don't remember. But besides that, I mean, besides not being good in coverage, yesterday, Donovan Wilson played the game of his life, man. The 2 fumbles were absolutely phenomenal. I'm not too sure he got credited for that first one. It was definitely a fumble, but I think they gave it to DeMarcus Lawrence. But Lawrence got the sack, and Donovan Wilson just grabbed the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands as he was going down. So that was awesome. The hit on Dalvin Cook, Dalvin Cook's still feeling that today, I promise you. So that's the best hit, hardest hit we've seen from a safety. I'd say since Roy Woodson, but Jeff Heath had some big hits as well. But it looks like we might have a little bit of an it factor, something special out of Donovan Wilson. So excited about that safety group. Now we're going to have to move on to the coaching staff, which right now I really don't even know how to grade the coaching staff. I'm going to give Mike McCarthy, I'm going to give him a solid score. I'm going to give him a B just for turning things around. things were looking really bad. It looked like the team quit on him, but starting with last week, we showed some signs of life in Pittsburgh, and we came back this week, and we had our share of struggles this week, but we did manage to win the game. So he deserves some credit for that. Something about smashing a watermelon, getting us hyped up before the game, whatever it is, it worked. So good for Mike McCarthy. Play calling, Kellen Moore. I really don't know how to grade Kellen for that game. There were times when I thought the play calling was really good. One, Andy Dalton is his bread and butter is just in that 6 to 10 yard slant game, and he throws a really good, accurate slant. And I thought Kellen Moore took advantage of that, and that's why Amari Cooper had so many yards. But we got the ball to CeeDee Lamb as well. Now, there were a couple of plays where I thought we were really creative. One, the Zeke touchdown. I forgot what the play call was. I just remember it being very good. The other one was like a 2-point conversion, and it was like a toss to Zeke, and then he lateraled it to CeeDee Lamb or something. Not too sure if I remember the play, but I remember it being a very creative play call, and it worked. So overall, I think Kellen Moore did his job. I mean, we put up enough points to win the game, and our offense looked good. We had 3 touchdowns, so can't complain about that, right? The only thing that I'm thinking off the top of my head that wasn't great, and I'm already kind of losing track, is with run drive, we were running the ball just down their throats, and I think we ran the ball 3 times in a row, and on first down, we passed the ball, and Andy Dalton got sacked. So I'm like, really, dude? That wasn't great play calling, in my opinion. As far as the defense goes, Mike Nolan, he's doing okay with what he's working with right now. I mean, the past 2 weeks, Mike Nolan's been pretty good. And, the talent isn't exactly there on defense. I mean, defensive tackle, there's not much talent. Defensive end, there is. But I think the defensive line's slowly working together and getting it done. Linebacker, I think Jalen Smith is the problem. I think at this point we can blame Jalen Smith more than we can Mike Nolan, because Mike Nolan's made adjustments, but it seems Jalen Smith is still lost out there. It seems he hasn't. So I'm going to give that blame to Mike Nolan. But as far as the defensive backs go, I mean, Trayvon Diggs was really improving, and he was helping that group. That group looked bad yesterday. I'm not going to blame Nolan too much. I want to see these defensive backs show up and step up and show something, I mean to say. But the safety group looks much improved. Even Xavier Woods was out there making some plays. So credit that to Mike Nolan. I'm not going to give credit for the safeties and then blame for the defensive backs, because obviously safeties are getting better. Defensive line's getting better. But Jalen Smith and the defensive backs kind of they stand out on their own. They speak for themselves. So not great. But I'm not going to give a letter grade to Mike Nolan. I thought he was solid, right? He's the team's improving under him to this point. 2 weeks in a row now. And another thing is obviously the bye week did us good. Obviously the extra time to prepare, it worked out in our favor. We'll see what happens in Washington next week. Now, John Bones Fassel and special teams, that's going to be a tough one for me. I do think that Zerline either missed or got an extra point blocked. I just forgot. I was really tired watching that game. I was worn out. I watched the Coastal game before, so I was watching football all day. And I don't remember, but I remember he missed something. But besides that, I think we're fine. So I'm not too worried about special teams. And as a matter of fact, there were a couple punt returns, I believe it was, where CeeDee Lamb took the ball to the other side of the field, started turning upfield, and it seems like we kind of did a good job in the field position battle, which hasn't really been much of a factor, going our way this season. So that was nice to see. But besides that, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for today. Like I said, we got the preview for the Thanksgiving Day game coming tomorrow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and click the notification bell next to it. Does me a big favor. Doesn't cost you nothing. Outside of that, that's it, guys. I'm out. Peace.